Signs that a child may need therapy.
I like to start with, honestly, the basics, like your child, and that's the approach that I come from, like as a parent or a caregiver. If you sense that something is off, depending on your child's age, you can definitely talk to them first. But if you you just see a change or notice that something is different, sometimes it's outward, and then sometimes it might be inward, like they're in their room more, they're not talking to you as much, they're more emotional. I work with a lot of younger kids now, like 0 to 5, and so as they start to develop, if you have concerns, and you talk to your pediatrician, you still have concerns, like therapists can help with that.
Welcome to the What Was Said podcast, where we share real feelings, real stories, and have real conversations. You know those narratives that were made about you and I? Well, we're here to set the record straight. I'm your host, Tequila. Come on in and have a seat. Welcome. So we have my cousin, my very own cousin, Marquila Batts, MSW, outpatient therapist, and we have Arthur. Okay. So today our topic is gonna be about helping our kids heal. So welcome. Hello, Marquila.
Hey, cousins.
So glad you are here. You are in town. I ain't even know, but Channel 9 News told me. And so
I figured I'm here.
So yes, mental health is we're both in social work field, so mental health is something that we encounter every day. And so we want to talk about how to help these children, especially for parents who feel lost. But we want to talk about you first. We want to hear your story. We want you to tell us a little bit about yourself and what led you to social work.
Okay. So the best place to start is probably undergrad, honestly. Went to Winston-Salem State University. Shout out to my Ramley. I got my bachelor's degree in therapeutic recreation, or some people call it rec therapy. And so I interned and then got hired at Amos Cottage in Winston-Salem working with kids. Honestly, the short story is by working there, I figured out that there was a gap in services. After the kids were done in day treatment, we would have to refer to outpatient therapists, and oftentimes they would say, we don't have anyone to refer to. And so I became interested in it in that way, and then I found out the only way to do it was to go back to school. So I was like, well, here we go. Back to school I go. Talked to a few people that I was working with at the time. One social worker that I worked with was kind of like a mentor, and she was a licensed social worker, and she just gave me some really sound advice, and I decided to go that track and start at grad school in 2015.
Okay. Was there a moment you knew that this was your calling?
I would probably say there are like bits and pieces here and there, but I do remember one specific day working at Amos Cottage, and in our rec therapy room we had a sand tray, and the kids were there playing before they left for the day, and the social worker came in, and she just kind of spoke to how I was working with the kids was just innate. It came naturally to me. And she was like, if you go back to school, you're not going to be learning anything differently than what you already do. You're just going to have the terminology that goes along with it. And I was like, oh, okay, like I really do have it. Like it just comes
just
naturally
flows.
to me. Yeah.
What do people misunderstand about child therapists?
That all we do is play and we're only going to work with the child. So I've gotten to a point in my career now, I tell parents straight up from the beginning, I'm not just working with your child, I'm going to work with
The
you.
family.
Sometimes I only need you, the adult, the parent.
Right.
And I mean, in a sense, all we do is play, but there's a lot of intentionality behind the play that comes with therapy, of course. But that's what people think all the time. Yeah.
That's what they tell us too. They're like, yeah, I come in here playing Uno and this. I'm like, but there's something behind the Uno game. Like, okay, so we're going to talk about your childhood. You as a child, how was it? What misconception did people have about you as a child?
from my perspective, and I could be wrong, but
your story.
I feel like people, I don't know if it was like for me being the oldest or yeah, maybe from that angle, but being really smart, like well rounded between all the things we did in church and then high school as well. I often just felt like my pedestal was like high. And sometimes, like thinking back on it, thinking back on it now, I'm like, oh, yeah, I was a child. I was just a girl, just a girl. So, those high expectations that came with how we were brought up, I think that was a lot at the time. But I mean, our parents knew what they knew.
Right, so. Right. What was your mental and emotional state growing up?
Ooh. I would say the best way to explain it, honestly, is I was a ball of anxiety. Yeah. It didn't really click until I was in grad school, but if I was in therapy as a child, I probably would have got diagnosed with something with anxiety. Yeah. I withdrew from time to time. Especially at home, like outside of home, I think, of course, it was different.
Like you could be yourself.
Yeah, I did all the things. I mean, band, basketball, track and field. I mean, at church, we did it all. We danced, we sung, church plays, like all the things. But at home, I feel like I was a ball of anxiety. Always overthinking things, anticipating things, and on edge. Yeah,
just wanting to be like perfect, or what the image that they created. That created for you, basically.
Trying to live up to that.
Did you feel misunderstood as a kid?
Yeah, I would say from time to time, and I think most kids do. I think that comes with the dynamic between a parent and a child, or a caregiver as a child. Just from working with parents, like once you have kids, you have these expectations or just things that you imagine your child to be, and then you're raising a human being, you don't know how they're going to turn out. Exactly. And so, I think kids are misunderstood in general, from how I communicated to like what I want to be, or just like the day-to-day things. There were times, I don't think it was like my overall childhood, but moments.
Did you become the adult you needed growing up?
Recently, yes. Yeah. I've been telling people, like, not too much of my business, but March makes a year I've been in therapy, and I chose a specific type of therapy that I needed, which I will share that because not a lot of people know, but my therapist uses somatic therapy and EMDR. Like, you have to look it up. There's a lot behind it. But,
I was going to say, everybody like, explain that.
Yeah, there's a lot. So the quickest way to explain it is I knew talk therapy wouldn't work for me because, like, I'm a therapist. I could talk my way out of anything. But emotionally, I needed something different. So she taps into that emotion side way more than, like, me being in my head and up top. Yeah, I think the work that I put in over this past year has got me to a place where I am the adult. Like, yeah, even in therapy sometimes I'm like, I would have told myself this when I was a teenager or when I was younger. Yeah, I tell people sometimes now, I'm like, I'm a new woman. So,
I changed.
It's been very helpful.
That's good. And I don't think I ever heard of, I heard of MDR, but I don't think I ever heard of somatic therapy. I never heard of that before. And how were you able to find that therapist? Was that something that you had to do extensive research on? Because I know sometimes when some people will come to us and they're like asking for certain requests, or we're looking for resources, and a lot of stuff I'm like, I ain't even never heard of that before. So how did you come about getting to find that somatic therapist?
Yeah, definitely research. Honestly, I started with Psychology Today, and I looked up really well. If you go on Psychology Today, you can filter. And I filtered because I knew I wanted the therapist that was certified in those two specific things. And then from there, I did consultations. And usually those are free. So getting to talk to the therapist for like 15 minutes and just catch the vibe. And I actually liked the two that I spoke with, but I was leaning more towards this one. Yeah. And I'm glad I chose her. But Psychology Today is usually a really good start. Because they list the insurances and all that stuff like that. Yeah.
And let you know what they take. And they even break it down to what you need specifically like it's like emotionally or man, woman,
Yeah.
age, like stuff like that.
Race.
So
Everything.
So what is play therapy, and how is it different from adult therapy?
Good question. The easiest way to explain play therapy is probably like kids don't have a lot of words. Even if they can talk, they are able to talk. Their brains are still developing.
Right.
So play is the way that they communicate, and then the toys are their words. So oftentimes parents do have the expectation like they're coming into the room, and yeah, they do talk to us, and sometimes they tell us things. But in the moments that they don't, they can show us with the toys or like arts and crafts and pictures and things like that. Yeah.
Okay, and so different from adult therapy, basically, I mean the play part.
Yeah.
I feel like, but then sometimes I feel like when I'm in therapy, I get a little homework assignment or something like to get me going from my therapist, and I'm like,
honestly, some adults, I have suggested to some adults or like some of my close friends, like ask your therapist for like play related things or like just to help you like relax a little bit or chill a little bit or something like art related. But some adults do lean towards like sand tray and things like that. But I won't say way less talking, but there's less talking for some kids. Yeah.
Signs that a child may need therapy.
I like to start with honestly the basics, like your child, and that's the approach that I come from. Like as a parent or a caregiver, if you sense that something is off, depending on your child's age, you can definitely talk to them first. But if you are you just see a change or notice that something is different, sometimes it's outward, and then sometimes it might be inward. Like they're in their room more, they're not talking to you as much, they're more emotional. I work with a lot of younger kids now, like 0 to 5, and so as they start to develop, if you have concerns, and you talk to your pediatrician, you still have concerns, like therapists can help with that as well. So honestly, as a parent, like go with your gut, but if you sense a change or if there's something like really stressful or traumatic that has happened in the home that is scary to the child, that would be a good time too.
Can behavior issues be emotional struggles?
Behavior issues be emotional struggles. They can. I come from the perspective of behavior is communication. It's not always appropriate communication, but
when telling you something.
Exactly, it's telling you something. When kids act out or when they stop expressing themselves, they are communicating a need. And oftentimes we call it a miscue. Just like in any other relationship dynamic, like if it's your partner and y'all have a miscommunication over something that happened, like that person really well, and you could tell, okay, there was a gap in our communication, like it broke. It's the same thing between an adult and a child. So yeah, when the behaviors are there, they are needing something. Figuring out what that is can be the hard part sometimes.
So let's tap into the book. Tell these people what the book is called.
A Twinkle from Above.
A Twinkle from Above, and it was a grief book.
Yes.
Can you explain it a little bit? I don't know, without. I mean, by now you should have gotten the book. You should already have the book. So
I think I can explain it without telling it. A Twinkle from Above is a story about a little girl named Ella, who goes to visit her grandmother, and she doesn't realize how sick her grandmother is, and so her mom takes her, and then her mom and dad basically just support her through the grief process because she doesn't understand and she has a lot of questions.
And it's a really, really, really good book. I read it to my kids. It's easy to understand. My son was able to repeat it back to me, what he learned from it. Pictures are good. It's an excellent book. And where can they purchase the book?
It is on Amazon. It's the only place I have it right now. That was the easiest. Trying to figure out how to publish and all the things. But yeah, if you type in A Twinkle from Above, it should pop up. It's there. Yeah.
So how do children experience grief differently?
I would say it's different. I mean, just again because of their children and where they are at developmentally. That's honestly going to be the key, because some kid, like a child could be 8 years old, but if socially, emotionally they present as like a 6-year-old, then you take that into consideration too. But grief is hard for all of us. It's a journey, even as adults. So if you pause and think that, then you think about, okay, my brain can't even like grasp this. I mean, you know, we have questions every day. Like what? Really, like as a family, we really had to go through this and experience this. And so if you pause there, then you're like, okay, what is this little kiddo with this little bitty brain that's still growing? What are they trying to understand and experience? And so, yeah, they're trying their best to make sense of a world that doesn't really make sense to them at all.
So how would a parent help a child cope with death or talk about death, or, you know, as something getting close to death? You know, how would they explain that to a child?
Yeah. Honestly, to be as honest and open as you can in an age-appropriate way. And when parents don't know how to do that, that's when I do suggest that they seek support. Please don't lie. Please don't lie. And when I say lie, I mean like telling a child that a person is sleeping isn't helpful, because then they see other people sleeping and
it's like, hold on. Yeah. It made me think about the movie that we love, Karina, where her mom had just passed away.
Yes.
And they were like, oh, where's mom? And it was like, oh, she's in the bathtub.
Yes.
She ran to the bathtub. And mom was not in the bathtub. And she called him a liar.
Yes.
She was going in on him. So definitely be straight up, like you said. Like, you have to tell them the truth so they can know, so they can understand. They can't understand a lie.
Yeah. And then just walk them through the process the same way. I mean, we don't have all the answers, even as adults, when we talk about grief, a loved one passing away. So I think that's another expectation that parents put on themselves when it comes to grief, is that you'll have all the answers for your kids. And you don't have to. You can throw questions back at them, and that helps with their development too. If they ask you, you know, a question, say, you know, mommy's not sure, daddy's not sure, what do you think? And then see what their brain is thinking, and just make it an ongoing conversation.
Right, and it'll help you be able to ask the certain questions that you need to ask, because they're giving you, you know, what you need. Yeah. So now you give it back to them the way that they need it.
Exactly.
So help for our parents. What should parents do if their child is struggling mentally? When should they seek professional help?
If your child is struggling, again, always starting with my parents. I like to check in with my parents first. Like, where are you? Oftentimes, with this crazy world that we live in, the parents are stressed too. The day-to-day, navigating all the things, especially for parents that are out here single, most of the times it's moms. Like, you're juggling a lot. And so when you're stressed, when your body is heightened, it does impact how you parent and how your household runs. So I like to check in there first and try to support my parents with figuring out the best way that they can regulate themselves. Because oftentimes once I'm working with them, when they're more regulated, their kids are too. So checking in there first, and then, wait, what was the other question?
When should a parent seek professional help?
Again,
that was good you tapped into that.
I was about to, as a parent, go with your gut. If you sense something isn't right, and then with the work that I like to do, like I'm trained in CPP, that's child and parent psychotherapy, we focus on the caregiver and child relationship. So again, I like to parallel it to adults. Married couples or couples about to be married, y'all like to go to couples counseling or marital counseling before something gets rocky within a relationship. You can think about that with your child too. Like, something is off with my child, it doesn't really seem right, or I just want to understand them better. Go ahead and seek therapy.
What is something you wish every parent understood that could change their child's life if they knew it?
For my parents to decrease we were talking about expectations earlier, but parents have high expectations for themselves. I think some parents that I work with, probably like 90% of the parents, their expectations are high. They're looking to be like this perfect parent or better than what their parents were, which is all fine, but like, where do you find, I don't want to say balance, because I don't feel like there's no such thing as balance, but where do you find your groove and where you're not comparing yourself to other parents? I think that goes a long way when it comes to like raising kids and And just, I don't know, finding those moments where you're a child yourself. That way you can slow down and attune to what your child needs and enjoy like the moment.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of tied into one of the questions. What message do you want families to take from this episode?
Yeah, I'm trying to see, would I add anything else to that? Being in the moment, slowing down. Kids do the most. That's like one of my quotes. I use it in my therapy sessions all the time. As much as I love kids, as much as I advocate for kids, they do the most. And most of the time they just can't help it because they're developing. They're developing, but two things can be true at once. Kids do the most, and also parents need help as well. So where do we find that middle ground and those healthy relationships? Don't be afraid to ask for help if you feel like you need it, and tap into your village too. I think that's really important.
So one last question for you. I alwa... ask everybody this at the end of the episode. If they really knew me, they know that I am, or they know that ... So the podcast is, what was said, or, when we was in high school, it's like, what was said? Like that. So if they really knew you, then they know. Boom.
If they really knew me, they would know that I am a soft whisperer. Like, I'm calm, collected, and quiet. I don't bother nobody. I be in my own lane, do my own thing. But when it needs to go there for whatever reason, once I collect myself and my thoughts,
it's going there.
Then it'll be what was said. What was said. That's where we go. Yeah.
Well, this information was very imperative. This information was great. So if you are a parent or a guardian of a child who you think may need mental health, definitely reach out to either one of us. Podcast, the What Was Said podcast on Instagram. And what Instagram would you like to throw out?
We can do my main one. That's what I'm on the most. I'm going to get right with my business one at some point. But it's at naturally_debay, which is DABAY.
So thank you for tuning in to the What Was Said podcast. Come back again. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube.
Like.
The What Was Said podcast. All right.
Like.